Hello everyone, so today's going to be an organizational video. I swear I get so many requests for this video, it's ridiculous. But I usually make a new organizational video once every year, and so this is my next one. I'll link the other ones in the down bar below, but let's go ahead and get started. The biggest thing to staying organized is making sure that you have an agenda. I cannot stress how important an agenda is, and the one I have this year is by Lily Pletzer. It just looks like this. I'm not going to really go into like my agenda organization because I already have 2 videos up on that, and I'll just go ahead and link those below as well. I have 2 methods for note taking. The first one is the one I actually do right now, and what it is I actually have these kind of like things. I don't really know what these are called. They're like folders. But you can either like use these or just use regular notebooks, like whichever ones you prefer. And I just take these and I got a paper cut. You just take these and I just write my notes from class in them. So like any handouts go in the pockets. And but I actually just take my notes. So these notes are super messy. These are my philosophy notes. They're super messy because like when I'm in college, I'm a sophomore in college, and my teachers like really go really quickly with my professors, excuse me. Like speak really quickly for the information. As a student, you're expected to absorb it, write it down, and keep going. You're expected to keep up. So in turn, my notes turn out to be super duper messy, and that's what they end up looking like. So what I like to do is I like to write my notes in these, and then later on that night or the next night, I actually write them on my laptop. So I go back and I type them back up just on like a Microsoft Word document onto my laptop, and I save them into a specific folder. Here is my laptop. If you go over here to sophomore, you click on it, you have some of my classes that I have right here. And for example, let's go to philosophy. And there's all like the notes and like the different subjects. So for example, if I need to look up the social contract, I could type in the social contract, just click on it, and my notes would come up. That way my notes are super organized, and also by typing it up, I find that it helps me review the information for the class, so it's not like I've only seen the information once from that one time in class. Now I'm reviewing it while I type it. That way it kind of absorbs it in a little bit more. Also, if I ever lose notes, I know exactly where to get them right there. And it also looks really neat. Here's my actual philosophy binder. I actually put those printed off notes into a binder. And so, for example, oh, here's another thing. Tab your subjects. So for example, this is philosophy, but philosophy is split up by all the different types of philosophers we've read. So up here I have like 2 tabs. We actually need to put a 3rd one because we're studying Rousseau, but I have Aristotle and Hobbes, and that way I know where all my work is for like a certain section. So you can get these kind of tabs right here from like Walmart. And so here are all my Aristotle notes, and I also put them in these page protectors. I find that you know, prevents paper cuts. Also, I just kind of like it better. But so yeah, and I just do that, and then you can see here I end up, you know, drawing lines. When you're making notes, I find that it's better to not actually use too much color, and this is what I end up doing with myself. I always do like just plain black and white, and like I'll make the lines blue just to make sure that I can see them. And I actually end up using color when I'm making notes, or for something that's really important. Okay, so I pulled out my English notebook, and this one is the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles. We just had a midterm. So when I was studying, I have like everything's pretty much black and white, and then when I actually want to take additional notes, that's when I use color. That way it really sticks out to me. So for example, I have additional notes down here in color, over here in color, and then I'll start highlighting things that are really important that my professors have stressed that's going to be on the test. So I find that works better for me because it sticks out and it's not just doesn't blend in with everything else. I'm tired. Pretty much all my classes I have to use quotes, pretty much, so because we all read textbooks. So for example, here's my textbook, and I have here that this is highlighted down here, and well, it continues up there, but right beside it I have a number 1. So the top of this says Aristotle, the Politics. So when I go to my notes and I'm reviewing notes for class or whatever, I have up Politics by Aristotle. It says in class because those are my class notes, which I keep separate from my, like this is Politics by Aristotle that I actually took notes on when I read it, and this is the actual notes from in class that we spoke about. And then right here I have it bracketed, and I have 1 and 2, and all this information is things that my professor talked about for this class. So it said 1 and 2, so quote number 1 and quote number 2, you can see that. Yeah, so that way I know, like, when I'm looking at my book, I'm rereading the text, and I'm like, oh, well, quote number 1 and quote number 2, I don't really remember what we talked about in class. I can go back to my notes where it says quote number 1 and quote number 2, and it tells me what it means. Do you guys like how many arrows I have on this page? Now, not everybody has to do that. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh my gosh, you put way too much effort into your schoolwork. I'm aware that I do. I'm aware that I put a lot of effort into my note taking, and I just find that it's better that way for me, but I don't do that in all my classes. I find that that could be exhausting. So in some of my classes, what I do is I just have like a regular notebook like this. This is like a Lily Pulitzer flamingo notebook, and I'll just write my notes with these, and like works the same. And I usually don't, if I write them in like a regular notebook like this, I usually don't print them up. It's usually like bind like a little folders like this that I print my notes up. That's kind of how I keep it separated. Another really good like organizational tip I find is that whenever I have a test, it's really good to have a little notebook like this, and I put at the top of it the subject and what day the test is, and then I write all the information that is going to be on the test, like all the subjects. So on September 24th, on the philosophy test about Aristotle, I had to know like these things about him, the Nicomachean Ethics, and like the politics, and like which chapters to focus on. And then I needed to know quotes, so I put down like the quotes that I wanted to memorize. So that's really good to do when you have a test. That way you're not just studying everything, because sometimes your teacher doesn't want you to do that. Sometimes they just want you to focus on certain things. So I have that for like all my tests in here. I find that's really helpful too. I'm going to start winding down this video, but one of my last tips is that when you're writing a paper, I find that it's actually better to use like one of these long like notepad things. Like I don't have regular notepads, but they're like at Walmart or Staples or anywhere really. You can buy those regular just long notepads. You can like tear off the sheets. I have these. These are Delta because I'm a Tri-Delta and I have notepads like this. But I find that it's actually very useful to use these kind of long notepads that are really disposable for writing papers. So I didn't do a very good job on this one, but I can't find the one that I did a really good job on. But so for example, I have like the chapter 2, like the subject, and then I have like bullets for what I'm going to write my paper on, and like some extra detail that I want to add down here. And but yeah, like you can make a little hashtag and you say what the subject is, and like 3 little hashtags below it saying like which the points are going to be. And I just find that that's really good, you know, like I feel like everybody does that for an essay, but I just think it's really good to use it on these sheets of paper, because I find that you can just dispose of them after you write your paper and it's NBD. So that concludes all of my organizational tips for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it was everything you were looking for one of my new videos. If you would like to see more videos, please comment, rate, and subscribe. I would really, really appreciate it. Just leave me more requests down in the bottom bar below. Like I said, I'll link all those previous videos in the description bar so you guys can watch my old organizational videos if you want to, because I have some really good tips in there as well. So I will talk to you guys in another video. Bye!